Merry Christmas, everybody! In this episode, we're talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2. I think you're probably missing the point. There's no fucking reason or rhyme with any of this, to be honest.
God, I miss Squibs.
Welcome, listeners, to a very special Christmas episode.
Jingle bells, Batman smells.
Yes, so as a special treat, we thought it, as always, every Christmas we'd pick a Christmas film, but this is an added bonus. I suppose you have to do them. They're the Siamese twins of the horror world, so we thought we'd do Silent Night, Deadly Night 1
and 2.
Silent Night, Deadly Night from 1984, aka Sleigh Ride. 84, other films: Children of the Corn, Chud, Friday the 13th Final Chapter, Gremlins, Night of the Comet, Toxic Avenger.
Mm. They've remade Toxic Avenger recently, haven't they?
Troma. Okay.
Well, no, I don't know whether Troma did, but they've remade it. With
Okay.
Peter Dinklage, I believe. So, 84, Chud was on there. Listen to that one if you like.
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
Yeah. And if you like some sweet tunes, listen to that tune. Actually, don't let that put you off. No offence.
AKA Sleigh Ride. Did I already say that?
Yes, you did.
Directed by Charles E. Sellier Jr., who also directed The Annihilators. I've never seen it, but check it out.
What is it?
It's The Annihilators by director Charles E. Sellier Jr.
Oh.
Billy, played by Robert Brian Wilson.
He's okay.
Yes, he's okay. He was mainly in soaps. We've got Mother Superior Liliane Chauvin.
She's not okay.
Well, she was in Private Benjamin, Predators 2 and Pumpkinhead 2. Kindly Sister Margaret, Gilmer McCormick, Mr. Sims, who's Britt Leach. He's I've seen him in a lot of films, but he was in Night Warning, Last Starfighter. He was in episodes of Happy Days, and he was also, remember, he was in The Waltons as well.
Yeah, he's always had that little bit of hair sort of flopping about on his head, hasn't he?
Mrs. Randall, played by Nancy Borgenhicht. Apologies for the pronunciation.
There's not many of these fuckers in it.
Halloween 4 she was in, though.
Go on.
Check out our Halloween episode, Halloween 4.
We did do a Halloween 4 as well. And also we did Halloween 2, if you're interested.
Denise, I've got to mention Denise. She's not in it for long.
Denise!
Played by Linnea Quigley. I'll run through the film she's been in because she was a bit of a scream queen in the 80s. Most famously, Return of the Living Dead, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, Night of the Demons, Tourist Trap, Don't Go Near the Park, Graduation Day.
Tourist Trap?
Savage. Yes, she apparently she played uncredited one of the mannequins. Oi!
I mean, that's it, like late 70s, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Graduation Day, Savage Street, Fatal Games, Creepazoids, Elm Street 4, Robot Ninja, Pumpkinhead 2, Scream Queen, but rarely a final girl. I think that's fair. She was generally bumped off during the film.
To be honest, she was a good actress. Look, all right.
She used to get her breasts out a lot.
That was...
and you nearly said that was the problem, but...
No, it's not. Night of the Demons, that was one of those standout points, and maybe we'll do that.
Is that the lipstick?
Yeah, the lipstick bit in the breast.
Yeah.
Which is just fucking weird. But she's not, doesn't overact, she just acts.
Yes, she's fine. She's good.
I'm overdoing it how much I like. But in Return of the Living Dead, she's fucking amazing.
Is she the running...
No, she's the punk... Anyway, again... Maybe another day for her. I think she's very good. Andy
is played by Randy Stumpf. I only mention him because he was in The Greatest American Hero.
Believe it or not, I'm working on it. I never...
Thank you. And the Bad Santa was played by Charles Dierkopf. He was in Messiah of Evil. Another interesting film that we
need to watch that. Probably... Yes, I've seen clips of Messiah of Evil, so we probably need to do that very soon.
The film begins. I think it starts with Silent Night.
There's a poem, though, by a child, isn't there?
Yeah, close the door, turn out the light.
It's quite good.
Very Christmassy. And it says Silent Night, and then there's a splash of blood on the screen. And as it drips down, it leaves the writing Deadly Night. Billy Chapman and young baby Ricky are in a car as the Chapmans...
What's on the radio? Christmas Fever.
Who's that by?
I don't know, but it's Christmas. Leave it. Carry on.
The Chapmans are going to visit Grandpa at the Utah Mental Facility. There's Grandpaps. He sits in the recreation room, unresponsive. I thought this bit was really good.
I've seen loads of clips of this as well, because he's obviously overacting to fuck.
Yeah.
So he's staring into space, and he's not talked or moved for months, years, is it? And
well, he's unresponsive. That is until Mr. and Mrs. Chapman leave the room to talk to the doctor. They leave Billy alone with Pops.
Which you would do.
All of a sudden, Grandpops turns and starts talking to Billy. And Grandpops says,
"What do you want her for? She can't help you. Nobody can. You're scared, ain't you? You should be. Christmas Eve, scariest night of the whole damn year. All the naughty ones he punishes. What about you, boy? You see Santa Claus tonight. You better run, boy, for your life."
So he's from Somerset or something. Yeah,
he sounds a bit like a pirate.
Well, he looks a bit like a pirate, I suppose.
And I thought it was quite good, staring into space, and then he turns and looks at him.
That's a bit that made me laugh, because I went, yeah, but it's when he turns back, when they start to come in the room, he goes, "Oh shit." He always goes, "Oh shit."
They leave with a shaken, traumatised Billy. He now decides he doesn't like Santa. Then to a store where a Santa holds a storeman up at gunpoint.
Yeah, it escalates quite quick, this bit. So he's wearing a Santa, and he goes, and the storeman makes a joke, some other shit. And then he goes, "I'm holding you up." And they have a tussle, and he shoots him, and then he shoots him again.
The storeman says, "What the hell you do that for?" He says, staring down the barrel of a gun. "I'm holding you up, asshole." Store owner grabs for his own gun. Santa puts 3 bullets in him, 2 in the chest, and then 1 in his forehead.
I miss squibs. Everything digital nowadays. I
Yes.
know this sounds like an old man saying, I remember when they used to almost blow someone's face off. A squib, when it blows up, is loads better than that digital bullshit.
Yes.
Where you just see a bit of red pop out.
And also the actor reacts to the squib as well, so it's more effective.
Do the fucking... Everyone knows a squib, but I'm going to very vaguely, bullshitly pretend I know what I'm on about.
It's a miniature explosive, isn't it?
They use a condom. So they fill that with blood, then they put a plate behind it, normally, and then there's an explosion that they trigger somewhere else, and then it pops out. But they normally cut the clothes at like Stanley knife.
So it goes outwards, the idea is.
But it always, generally, from the actors that I've heard, they always say it kind of leaves a bruise, because it's still an explosion that you hope will go outwards, but it still goes towards you as well.
It almost like I expect it's almost like paintballing. If you get hit point blank, it kind of leaves.
I've been hitting the ball back.
Yeah, but just what in general, or
but I missed that, because you're right. They react because it fucking hurts, and also you can see that it's.
Yeah, there's a physical reaction.
Yeah.
I
know I'm overdoing it. I literally circle this and go, God, I miss squibs. That's all I've got. God, I miss squibs.
All for 31 bucks. So Santa's pissed, because all that for 31 bucks. Steve Carlson on Clocks FM plays out on the Chapman's radio as they continue to travel home. Angry Santa flags them down, shoots Dad, and with Billy watching and Ricky bawling...
Yeah, well, this is wrong.
Well, this is the thing where... And again, we'll talk about both films kind of throughout. The first one is far more exploitative.
I think there's probably 2 versions, and we've both seen the uncut one.
Yes, and I think it's the clips of the cut version that appear in the second film as the flashbacks. And in terms of exploitation, this film is far stronger than the second one, because all the exploitative elements are removed from the flashbacks. So at the time when this film was released, I think it only lasted about a week, and a lot of cinemas removed it because of the uproar of Santa, wholesome Santa kind of doing these things of ripping women's blouses, killing people. So anyway, Mum and Dad have been killed, but really they've set up this exploitative device from the off that women being kind of manhandled becomes almost like a trigger for Billy, and in the sequel for Ricky.
Let's be honest, there's a couple of rapey bits that I'm not so
it doesn't
don't play well now, but in terms of uncomfortableness, That's the worst bit out of the two, I thought.
Yeah, I think so. And the fact that, I suppose, if you look at the scene as a whole, it's got the two children watching on as well, which obviously is why they're so traumatised. Billy runs and hides by the side of the road. Ricky continues to cry because he's a little baby in the car.
Everyone remember this for the second one. Ricky is a tiny baby.
Now, I'm going to say something. We mustn't get into the habit in the second one of trying to explain the logic. None of it makes any sense. Anyway, where are you, you little bastard? Santa shouts as Billy hides by the side of the road. That's it. Now we move to December 1974 and we pay a visit to St Mary's Home for Orphaned Children. Billy's drawing. He gets sent to Mother Superior. He's drawing some kind of horror picture of Santa.
Okay, so this is where it gets a bit personal. So he draws something, he puts a picture on the wall and gets chastised for it. When I was at primary school, I drew a picture of zombie flesh eaters. The hand coming out of the ground.
On the VIP coat, like on the VIP coat.
Yeah, the VIP coat. But the picture in the UK was really good, I thought. It's a hand pushing out the ground. I drew that with felt tip pens as a primary school kid, but I didn't even know what it was. But I wrote zombie flesh eaters. I probably posted that up on the wall. No one was chastising me, I don't think.
Yeah, but you didn't have a Mother Superior, did you?
No. So I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I'm about to say, punish!
Well, Mother Superior calls him William, so he knows he's in trouble. He gets a William. Mother Superior, strict disciplinarian, but Sister Margaret, kindly Sister Margaret, is in Billy's corner throughout.
Not a great actor. You weren't great in this film.
Billy spies on a couple having sex. Mother Superior captures him, spying. She gives the sexed up couple the belt. That night he's plagued with nightmares, and I think that's the bit where it shows more of the original attack by Santa.
And that's when you see her throat get cut, I think, isn't it? There's flashbacks in the fucking first one.
Oh, I love it. Next day, Mother Superior decides, as part of Billy's treatment, he should be forced to sit on Santa's lap. Oh, fucking hell. I love this bit. When Billy gets upset and punches Santa, it's the best bit, probably, of the two films for me. He gives him a good punch. It reminded me of the punch by Brendan Maggott in Christmas Evil. Check it out in episode
35.
The Christmas Evil punch is amazing.
Yes, but this one is equally as funny. After that, we hear the nun's voice, and it has William Carrion in a corner, and the shot freeze frames with the nun's voices and everybody upset.
I mean, normally I'd like a freeze frame, but not in the middle of a film.
10 years later, 1984. Mr. Sims is asked to give Billy a job at the toy store.
Ira Toys.
Ira Toys. At this point, my favourite tune, I'm Looking for the Warm Side of the Door, plays out. Which
oh,
is
fucking hell, there's a montage. Okay, so here we go. It's a proper montage of bullshit.
Well, he's settling in. Well, the one thing I did like about it was you got to spot some of the toys in the background. Mr. Potato Head.
Oh, yeah.
Jabba the Hutt playset.
Yeah,
Super...
Kermit the Frog.
Super Stunt Dirt Buggy.
And I also thought what it was called was The Wrong Side of the Door, but it is The Warm Side of the Door. Either way, it's fucking awful.
Either way, it's warm and Christmassy. Andy, a co-worker, busts Billy's balls at every opportunity. He's a jerk. At one point he says, "You're staring off into space like some kind of moon goon." There's a nightmare scene where
it shows... a sexy dream, isn't it?
Yeah, where
sexy
it shows Billy's hairy bum crack as he imagines getting it on with co-worker Pamela, and then there's a knife down, I think his back actually in that. That's a nightmare. Then we learn that the store Santa is a no-show, so Billy stands in for him.
Yeah, which is mental, but carry on.
When he's standing in for Santa, the bit where there's a young girl that sat on his knee.
Oh, this bit's fucking wrong.
Did
you not think it was a bit creepy, this bit?
Well, it was a bit creepy, and I'm led to believe some of the cuts were. This got cut shorter.
But having said that, it's not as obvious. It's got a young girl on his knee who can't act, luckily, because if she could act, it'd probably be a bit grimmer.
I got the feeling she might have been genuinely wanting just to get a fucking way.
But he just kept... What did he kept saying? I'm guessing you wrote it down.
I mean, no, I didn't. He just kind of kept whispering to her, just sit.
And he goes, yeah, you'll get punished. But it's a whispery way he does it to a very young girl on his lap that's uncomfortable. Luckily, it's not meant that way.
I felt it was as uncomfortable as sitting on Santa's knee. They finish for the day, a very tiring day. Sims locks up for the day and he shouts, "Time to get shit-faced." Billy likes Pamela, but at the work's piss-up, she goes in the back with Andy.
This is going to be the uncut bit. It gets a bit rapey again, unfortunately.
Yeah, they go in the back of the store, and when Andy gets rough with Pamela and assaults her, Billy snaps. It's a trigger. Yeah, punish. Strangles Andy with the Xmas lights, which is kind of sticking with the Christmas theme. Very boring kill.
Yeah.
Punishment is necessary, Pamela.
He slices Pamela open with a blade, which
this must have been the uncut version, because in the cut version,
you don't see anything.
Pamela
just falls to the floor.
falls.
I mean, he is basically just drawing a red line, but
I know,
what it's
but it's a
suggesting.
waste. Yeah,
what it's suggesting. Mr. Sims gets it next. He gets a hammer through the head. Mrs. Randall discovers his body with the hammer through his head, because you don't actually see him get fucking
No, you don't
fucking
see
hit.
any version of that.
But she finds his body with the hammer sticking out of his head, and then Mrs. Randall, on seeing Billy, tries to escape, and Billy takes her out with a bow and arrow in the back.
Well, she nicks the axe, doesn't she? And she's
Yeah.
about to smash open the window, and then finds a bow and arrow, because that's
Well,
what
I mean-
you have a proper bow and arrow that could kill someone in a toy store.
Well, maybe I mean, you would expect them to have suckers on the end, but on this occasion, maybe he's in the time she was taken to get out of the place, he sharpened up one of the arrows.
Well, she was pissing about for it.
Yes. So Randall, but not Hopkirk, is deceased. Billy goes out on the road. He goes on tour now.
Billy's on the road again, wearing different clothes. What's that from? I can't remember. It's a good song, isn't it?
Well,
Anyway, the nun comes in though, doesn't she?
kindly Sister Margaret's on his trail throughout the film. She's 2 steps behind him throughout.
After he's left, she turns up and goes, "Billy, Billy, oh, you seem to have shot someone with an arrow."
Couple making out on a pool table, and this is where we get linear.
I tell you what,
linear.
he's got some balls.
Yeah, it's a linear storyline. Yeah, that's very good. Billy hangs Denise. I'm cutting this very short because basically Billy wanders into the house. Yeah, he impales Denise on some antlers. In the uncut scene, we see the antlers kind of pushing through her belly.
Then he holds her up and pushes her into antlers. It's good effect. When her bloke walks in, that's crap.
Billy hangs Denise from some deer antlers, impaling her. Punish. We see the antlers poking through her stomach. He then throws her boyfriend out a window. His body's kind of lying on the floor, all with
Can
bits
I
of
say
glass.
that's bollocks?
Oh.
Because you think, well, that they're scrapping, and you think, oh, he's going to do something really good, like maybe he'll smack him into the lights or Christmas lights or something. Just chucks her out the window.
Well, I think he'd already fought back a little bit, and then he just picks him up, throws him out the window.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then loads it for some reason. He's absolutely fucked with glass.
The police receive orders to apprehend any Santas. They almost arrest a dad. I'm not going to talk about that scene, but they go into a house, which is bollocks, and they almost shoot a dad who's creeping into the house.
And all I said was it would have been ace if they shot the dad, which I think nowadays they probably would have done that.
Oh, just to be a bit edgy.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I didn't have any such thoughts. I just thought the whole thing was a farce.
Yeah, but if he'd have got blown to fuck,
Well,
it would
yeah,
have been quite funny, wouldn't it?
It would have been, but he didn't. And
I know.
Yeah, Billy evades the police. Some kids get their sledges out, and they get their sledges stolen by some bullies who look about 35. They should know better.
Well, they are older.
Yeah, Bob and Matt. One of them gets his head chopped off as he travels down the slope.
That's quite good, this bit.
Yeah, the headless body kind of... Friend goes down first and waits at the bottom, shouting up, "Come on, it's fine, come down." When the sledge finally arrives, it's got a headless body and the head comes rolling down. Afterwards, it is cut
To fuck.
to fuck again.
In the cut
flashback.
version.
Yes, in the second one.
But yeah, it's quite a good thing. And you see a head rolling down, and you see... I think the bit that they've cut out is where he's sledging and blood squirting out of his neck as he's carrying on.
And the head came rolling after, and the boy screams and he screams. His acting of screaming was quite... Well, I suppose you would do, but it's quite over the top. Anyway, so that's that bit. We're about an hour and 7 minutes in now. Kindly Sister Margaret is on the trail. She's at the police station. detective. Kid may be nuts, but he's not stupid. Nun and detective have a brainwave. He's heading back to the orphanage to put an axe through Mother Superior. There's an all points bulletin. It's a radio message sent to every officer in a police force giving details of a suspected
Do you not know what the fuck
criminal.
that was?
I kind of knew, but I was
right.
interested to know what it said in my dictionary.
Oh, baby.
Santa Claus killer, shoot to kill. In one particular example of police brutality, a cop shoots Santa only to find it's not Billy. Oh my God, it's Father O'Brien.
Well, yeah.
And he's deaf.
Oh, he didn't stop because he's deaf. So he's a deaf Santa Claus. So that's why they could shoot the fuck out of him.
Do you know, it's interesting because it's not Father O'Brien. When they have the flashback in the second film, they don't say it's Father O'Brien. I can't remember. I'll tell you. I think they say it's a caretaker, janitor. So what a weird change. I know. Maybe they didn't want to have a member of the clergy being killed.
Oh, no, I didn't notice that bit.
The bit I quite liked was one of the kids witnessing the carnage gets blood on their woolly hat and mitts. He didn't respond. Of course not. He's deaf. Poor old father. The cop gets it next.
This is an extra 10 minutes of my life I need back.
He's securing the perimeter, so he's walking round and then he sees something over to the left and he goes down into what seems like an underground bunker and he gets an axe in his chest.
Well, this wasn't cut, but it should have been from all of the films. But then,
from-
this is 10 minutes probably of him wandering around like a twat.
Cut from my memory, maybe. The most brutal has got to be Billy with blood dripping from his axe, taking the head off a fucking snowman.
No, that was Ace.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, for some reason he just chops up. Punish.
Funny.
He doesn't say punish. But...
Detective Richards shoots Billy in the back as he tries to axe Mother Superior. This is what Billy says as he's dying to the kids. You're safe now. Santa Claus is gone. Then brother Ricky, looking on, says, naughty, to show that the cycle will continue.
Yeah, this is quite good. It scrolls up from the axe up the body of the kid, who then says naughty. In the second one, when it scrolls up, it cuts.
Again, we'll talk about all the strangeness of the second film. For some well, I think I know why they changed the young boy actor, because he's in new scenes in the second film. So what we have is Billy never really managing to shake off the trauma of his childhood, and ultimately that sealed his fate. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. So 3 years later, we had Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 from 87, directed by Lee Harry.
He did trailers for a lot of films of the Coen brothers.
And
they're quite good trailers.
He won awards for the trailers as well, didn't he? Yeah. I don't think I watched the trailer for this, and I don't know if he did the trailer for this and how good it was.
That's true.
Who knows? I'll talk about people in it. There's not that many. I'm going to talk about Eric Freeman as Ricky. We've got James Newman as Dr. Henry Bloom. And we've got Elizabeth Caitan as Jennifer. She was in Friday the 13th 7, Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. And that is it for the cast. I'm not going to talk about anybody else because the rest of the cast was in the first fucker.
Well, unless they were swapped out.
Yes, we had some swaps. Some swapsies. Ricky Caldwell. Camera travels up his body, finally stopping on his face. This bit takes a while as the nurse or orderly sets up the recording machine and keeps staring nervously and suspiciously at Ricky. That takes a while.
Everything takes a while that's in the non-flashback.
Eric Freeman's brilliant in this. He's absolutely fine at the beginning before he starts talking. He's absolutely
Fucking
fine.
hell. He's terrible, let's be honest.
I don't think he's terrible. I think he's fantastic.
It's like he doesn't understand the way to talk.
Well, I don't know how he should have been directed. Somebody should have said something.
I think someone should have directed him to go out the fucking door. Anyway, having said that, it makes a film. The last 20 minutes is his.
Yes.
Even if it is mental.
Dr. Bloom arrives to interview Ricky. There's lots of shots of feet in these opening sequence. You can just call me Doc.
Fuck off, Doc.
My time is very valuable. Oh, and mine isn't. It's at this point we're introduced to Ricky's eyebrows. It's a long time since I've been this entertained by a pair of eyebrows. since Richard Crenna's eyebrows in The Evil. Check
Richard
out
Crenna's eyebrow.
Check out episode 9. Once you get fixated on his eyebrows, it's hard to ignore them actually in the film. They are incredible. What makes
you think you can bullshit your way into my head like every other pencil neck piece of shit?
Orderly pokes his head in the room and is told to get out by Bloom again. I like that. Let me ask you something. Who killed your parents? Flashback number 1. Mum and Dad killed. Tell me about your stay at St Mary's Orphanage. Flashback number 2 of his time at the orphanage.
I hated that fucking place.
Do you dream, Ricky?
I don't sleep.
Flashback 3 and 4. All the scenes from the orphanage. We get to see Billy punch Santa again, which is amazing.
Which Ricky wasn't there for.
We get flashback number 5, which is all the kills from the toy store.
Which he wasn't there for.
Yeah, like I said, Billy could have gone back and visited Ricky in the orphanage and told him about these things. Then we have a little bit more chit-chat, and then we have the flashback of Denise, getting impaled. Again, it's caught, but that's fine. More flashbacks. We've got the cops, we've got bits with the sledges all the way through to the final takedown of Billy. We have the flashbacks, which are just basically, as everybody knows, I mean, all you guys who
the
listen
first
to this...
third is gone.
Yeah, it absolutely is just flashbacks of the original film.
But I guess if you were thinking, oh, I won't watch the first, you should watch the first, the uncut one, because you'll see more gore and it's grimmer, I think, the first one. I mean, not much. The second one is absolutely more jokey, especially at the end.
Well, I did think, by the time I got to the end of the second one, I was thinking about it, and I thought, you don't ever need to go back and watch the first one, but you kind of do if you want to see the more exploitative bits and a bit of gore. You do need to go back and watch the first one, because it's all cut from the second one. So we've got all the scenes. We've got bits with the sledges where he gets his head taken off, again, cut slightly. And as I said earlier, the Santa that was shot was old man Kelsey, the janitor. At one point, somebody says, "Poor deaf son of a bitch." Yeah. Why they changed that? That's okay.
No. But the flashback, when it scrolls up to him, they obviously changed the kid. And there's a flashback where he's peeping and they're having sex, which we mentioned in the first one. 2 different people having sex now. So it literally is 2 new people that he's looking at through the keyhole.
In the second one, some of the choices and the changes they made must have been driven by money, because some of them don't make any sense.
Yeah,
some of them don't make any sense. Naughty, he says. And again, and actually it's 40 minutes in is where it ends with the just reusing the original film footage. Yeah. So all the way through this, we've had Ricky talking to Dr. Bloom, telling him about his life through these flashbacks. And now we start to get the new bits of the film for the second one. Yeah. So Ricky gets homed with the Rosenbergs following a closure of the orphanage. So we start to learn what has happened to Ricky since the death of his brother.
Yeah, it's like cine film, isn't it? It's trying to replicate that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's kind of used well to show him in his home life. At 10, he lives a fairly normal family life. He still gets triggered when he sees nuns or red Santa-like fabric. Yeah. So we have a little bit where he sees a nun on the street. Yeah, he gets traumatised. His
stepdad dies as well.
He's still had trauma throughout his life, poor old Rick. When Ricky was 15, it's played by an actor who was 24. He's actually older.
I mean, Jesus.
I mean, for the flashback, I think on this scene, Eric probably could have played it himself, but let's not question that.
Yeah, it's not even, doesn't even look close to... One, he's got more blonde hair, and this guy's not, but go on.
And he's got a 5 o'clock shadow, and yes, he does.
Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Ricky's in a field, spying on a couple fooling around. Eddie's such a pig. Well, so this is another sexual assault. This is a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, the second one's a lot tamer than the first.
It is, yeah, it is.
Except for this bit, which I guess is trying to replicate his mum being almost raped.
And again, that whole device they set up from the beginning where it would be a trigger point, they've tried to keep that going. So unfortunately we have this scene where a guy gets rough with a girl and they fight, and Ricky gets triggered by this. Naughty. Ricky jumps into the guy's vehicle and runs him over a few times. We see this from a distance.
I know, he does it a lot. This is where you realise I think the director's gone, fuck it, I'm making this a comedy. Forward, then back, then forward, then back, then forward, then back, and then forward, then back. And then you see just a hand with a bit of blood on it. I think the director's gone, I'm not that bothered about it being a horror. I think I'm making a comedy now.
To be honest, I'm not sure I know when the turning point was. The girl thanks Ricky.
Because it's quite brutal. She nearly gets raped by this guy, gets away with it, and because the woman goes, yeah, Tom.
Thank you. And she clearly hasn't been naughty, so she survives. We return to Dr. Bloom. He's written on his notepad in big letters,
Red car.
because in retelling the story, Ricky will have said the guy's car was red, won't he? And actually then
This fucking bit. Yeah, go on.
Ricky leans over and says,
Going too fast for you, Doc? Red car. Good point.
which is in itself is taking the piss out of him. I loved it. I loved the fact that he wrote in big letters, red car.
I know.
From that whole story, that was his takeaway point from it. He's meant to be a psychiatrist.
Just write red car.
My old lady couldn't afford to send me to college, so I got a job.
So Ricky's working at some kind of kitchen. Out back, he's emptying the trash. And he says, sounded like some squirrel getting his nuts squeezed. And there's loan shark, Rocco, at the back, duffing somebody up.
Yeah, this goes on far too long.
Yeah. So Ricky gets an umbrella
This bit's actually very, very good.
and he shoves the umbrella through Rocco, which opens up poetically the other side of his body.
Yeah, and then it immediately starts to rain. This is, again, another bit where he's going, I'm just taking the piss now. I'm just having fun with this. It's not a proper horror film.
Because when it goes back from the flashback back to Bloom, it focuses in on his forehead where he's got sweat on it. So it goes from the rain of the scene to the sweat on his brow because he's becoming more and more uncomfortable with the stories that Ricky's telling because this story wasn't on any of his records. I see. He's no longer in control because Ricky's worn him down with all these tiresome flashbacks. No way! Too many people get away with shit like that. Eyebrows are in overdrive at the moment.
Yeah, when they're looking at each other, he's just doing like that. Yeah, I mean, I can't even do it. But imagine someone, all he's doing for about 30 seconds is moving his eyebrows up and down.
I mean, it's quite tiring to do it.
I can't do it.
His eyebrows are going up and down with every single word of the sentence. It's tiring.
I can't do it. That is consummate acting.
Yes, that's method acting. Apparently, he went on a 5-day eyebrow course.
Of course. He had weights on his brows. Yeah.
And his balls. Bloom says, tell me about Jennifer.
Eat shit.
This is a good shot, I thought, with Ricky in the foreground, with Bloom in the background. He's right up front and Bloom's talking to him in the background. Thought it was quite a nice shot. She's the only girl he ever cared about. Then we have a flashback. Sexy sax as it introduces Jennifer.
This is fucking awful.
Oh, she knocks him down.
In the voiceover, he goes, oh, she bumped into me. No, she knocked you off your motorcycle and laughs about it. She goes like, she sniggers with her hand in front of her mouth.
If he'd stayed in character, he should have either put an axe through her head, an arrow in her back. Well, I put she laughs when she knocks him down.
Yep.
Punishment. No. Bike ride, sex, cinema.
Yeah. And the cinema bit, fucking hell, it's terrible. There's like 2 people there.
What about the jokesters in the back row, though?
Well, yeah.
What about them?
Well, he kills one again. You know it's a comedy now because he grabs one of them. You don't see what happens. You see a load of popcorn flying in the air.
And a leg.
Yeah, it's like a terrible, awful, jokey bit.
In the cinema, the voiceover says,
The motion picture they've been waiting for.
Amazingly, it's footage from the first film as Santa holds up the storm. So we get to see that again.
That bit, I thought, oh, that's quite clever. And then you realise they're doing nothing with this idea at all. I mean, look,
Whilst Rick goes off and kills someone in the back row, as we've already said, Jennifer gets harassed by her ex. Chip. Oh, Chip.
And this goes on for fucking too long.
Anyway, so we've got that bit in the cinema. Rick and Jen are strolling hand in hand down the street. He says, there's a certain spot I'd like to show you. When he's talking to Jennifer then, there's no
punishment.
He's got quite a high-pitched, whiny voice, I noticed, when he's talking lovingly. Chip shows up and old Ricky ends up frying him. Actually, one of the better kills, probably.
Goes, oh yeah, I end up fucking her brains out or something. Yeah.
He says, that's what she said when I fucked her brains out in the backseat of old Red.
So he ends up putting electrodes in his gob, and then one of his eyes explodes, I believe.
Yes, he jump starts his big old bleached head till it smokes. Probably the only decent kill. I put his eye pops. So there you go. Jen shouts at him, triggering...
Red car.
Red car. Jen shouts at him, triggering an unstoppable rage.
Right, so this is again when you know it's a joke, because she watches him kill...
This was good.
Yeah. And she goes, gulp. She literally says, gulp.
Well, she says, so he says, punish. And she goes, oh.
Yeah, but she even goes, gulp.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. But this, I think the shot's really, out of all of them, this shot's really good. She runs towards the camera.
Yes, and
then he puts the aerial from the car around his neck.
Yeah.
Or antenna, whatever you call it in the US.
I just wrote Van Ariel. Ricky kills her with old Red's car aerial. Mayhem. So this is where truly the mayhem begins.
And then you know what happens next.
Well, this is...
Anyone that's a horror aficionado knows what happens next.
Yeah, this is what the film's most famous for, when he walks down these suburban streets. First a cop who looks suspiciously like Richie Cunningham. He ends up, somehow manages to turn his gun on him, and this is where he gets a bullet through the forehead.
Yeah, he points his gun directly at him and goes, put these cuffs on. Somehow
he points the gun up, and then somehow he's managed to point
there's a cut.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Grand Theft Auto, GTA really, this whole thing. An hour and 8 minutes in.
Yeah.
So if you want to get straight to this bit, Ricky spends the rest of the film chuckling.
And there's a lot of him walking towards the camera. Again, I kind of blame the director on this, because he must have just said, so we're going to do a bit of you walking towards camera. Just mug it up, mate.
It's a stroke of genius, though. Because had he not done this film would have disappeared into obscurity.
It would be absolute dog shit. Otherwise.
He's just walking down the street, swinging a head in one hand.
Intruder, podcast number
14.
Hey, what the hell's all that noise out there? Blam!
Motherfucker!
So a guy comes walking out,
it's
he
mental,
shoots
that bit.
him.
He's got a gun off the cop, by the way. He's not just saying the word blam, by the way. But yeah, there's a bloke just goes, what's that noise? And he goes, motherfucker. And he shoots him and then says motherfucker. It makes no sense.
I must point out as well, it looks a baking hot day, and Ricky's got a really Christmassy jumper on as well throughout, which I like. Okay, apologies. I'm going to have to say this.
Garbage day!
So obviously that's the famous bit that everybody knows about.
Well, yeah, a bloke just takes out one of his trash cans and he goes, garbage day! And then shoots him. It is what it is. To be honest, no, it's mental, yeah. Sorry, I was going to say it is what it is. No, it's absolutely fucking... You could see it a million times and not know what the hell's going off there. But the bit before is mental as well, which they don't show on the memes or the GIFs or the videos. Like I say, when he just shoots a bloke coming out, what's that noise? Motherfucker! I mean, that seems over the top.
He shoots at a car. I mean, fuck me. This scene, Christ almighty. So a car's travelling down the road. He shouts, bingo! The car stunt, it can't have been to plan.
Fucking hell.
So a car turns over, and the stuntman who's playing Ricky, it must literally miss him. Well, he has to. Well, it misses him by an inch, even though he's already stepped out the way at the last minute, and it still only misses him by an inch.
Like you say, he's going up a ramp to do a flip, but it must be on his right shoulder as he's looking at the car, and he just moves a little bit out of the fucking way, but... Fucking hell.
Whoever, that was a miscalculation on their part.
Yeah.
The car goes up in a big explosion, so actually it's quite an impressive stunt, but more so when you actually watch how close somebody came to fucking dying. Actually, when the cops turn up then and they blockade the road...
Oh, can I say about this? He's done that, blown up a car, and he just wanders into a road where there's two cars blocking the road. He wanders into the shot.
He seems oblivious to them being there as well. Yeah. I mean, I imagine these days, after this kind of carnage, he would have been gunned down straight away. When he seems like he's turning the gun on himself, the cops say, no, don't do it. It's not worth it. Don't be a fool.
Oh, no, there's loads of it. Yeah, I got this. Don't be a fool. Don't do it. Again, generally, they're all saying, don't do it then.
Yeah,
There's
I
about
get that
18
idea.
of them, and they repeat it multiple
Yeah,
times.
yeah, they've played their part. They all had a line. Well done, guys. He turns the gun on himself, but it's empty.
Obviously, because he's reciting it back to the psychologist.
Yes. Back in the cell with Ricky and Bloom.
No more bullets, young and stupid. That was my problem. And it's a shame they stopped me before I did what I really had to do. But hey, that's life.
So really, really great stuff. Henry Bloom has been strangled with the very tape he's been fucking around with for the last 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're left by yourself in a room with a maniac.
I don't think you can strangle somebody with that tape on those.
No, it'd break.
It would snap,
it'd
wouldn't
break,
it?
yeah.
But he has managed to, which shows the pure rage of Ricky.
Well, maybe he's wrapped it a lot. No, it just break.
The story of Ricky, is this
Yeah,
what that film, this
yeah,
is based on?
Get your guts out and you
Yeah.
strangle some twat,
Yes.
but otherwise you don't do it with tape.
So at this point, Ricky's escaped because Bloom's dead. He wanders out. There seems to be like a sound of, mayhem in the background as he wanders out. Cops and nuns. I mean, these are different cops and different nuns to the ones that were on his trail in the first one. Cops and nuns suspect he's still out to get Mother Superior. She's had a stroke. We'll talk about her stroke and how the symptoms have manifested themselves. She has a stroke and lives alone. Yeah, I've put... Her symptoms of a stroke seem to be plasticine on her face. I don't really understand.
And also
that.
being a totally different person.
Well, I think I got a feeling if they were going to try and hide the fact it was a different actress, they should have just covered her face completely in plasticine.
No. She had, it wasn't the worst makeup. So she had blobs on her face and she's in a wheelchair. For some reason, though, she's in a wheelchair and she's upstairs. But, I mean, you obviously can do that, but there's no stair.
There wasn't a stair. No, but that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, Mother Superior seems to have Halloween 4 like Loomis burns on her face. I put to hide the fact she's a different actress. Ricky steals a Santa costume, obviously, kills somebody. Mother Superior, wheelchair bound, attempts to escape from Ricky when he turns up.
This bit's not bad. This bit, out of the whole film, I thought this bit was quite good.
A bit of tension when she's trying to escape.
Yeah.
Mother Superior, I've got a present for you.
Are you doing like Fozzie Bear now?
I've got a present for you.
At one point, she falls down the stairs. Anyway, when the cops arrive, they discover she's had her head lopped off by Ricky.
That's ace, this bit. So the other nun turns up and then her head just falls off. And then he appears again for some fucking reason.
Yes. Well, they do a tenebrae, bends down, and he's behind her, the nun, because she passes out. Ricky gets shot through some French doors. A nun screams. Ricky smiles. The end.
That bit after the garbage day, which no one shows at all, that lasts like 10 minutes, which I never knew about, because I thought, it ends with garbage day. Not bad, actually. I thought, in terms of tension, even though it didn't make a lot of sense, it was different. Yeah, but at the same time, I was thinking, when was it finished?
We've already talked about the cuts, so I don't. If you want to see the cuts, just watch the flashbacks from the second film to understand what was cut out of the first one. If you want to see the theatrical release and the R-rated release, you can see all that. So we don't need to talk about the cuts. So let's go straight to a review. Apparently, Robert Brian Wilson, who played Billy in the first one, and obviously Eric Freeman, who played Ricky in the second one, originally tried to distance themselves from these films. Such was the poor reception and the controversy.
I think the first one,
Robert Brian Wilson.
him, okay.
His acting's okay. Eric Freeman is obviously crazy, and that's absolutely fine.
But again, I think the second one is taking the piss.
I think Eric Freeman was... I've read that he was misdirected. He was given different... One was saying play it like a cool killer. Yeah. One was going completely over the top. So I think there was I don't think he was helped by the people making the film. No. But I think they distanced themselves. I think over the years they have returned to the films because... they've realised that kind of film festivals, people absolutely fucking love these films.
It's like Tron 2 and all that.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing with these films. I mean, where to begin with? How do you formulate a verdict of these films? At the right time, in the right place, as I always say, they tick every box for me. But I think the difference is, I get the feeling, even though the second one, you could say because there was loads of footage of the first one, it was quite lazy. I still get the feeling with both films, there's people who quite care about what they were doing. I think that's what you get with The Room, Trolls 2, Birdemic, any of these films that are classed as so bad they're good. I think what makes it different from films that are just fucking terrible is that people who are involved with them do actually seem to care what they're doing. Yeah, like I say, both leads, Eric Freeman and Robert Wilson, are good for different reasons, obviously. And they are really good fun. When you actually boil it down, none of it makes any fucking sense, especially the second one. If I'm looking at them as films without looking at the kind of so good they're bad, they would be like 2 or 3. But I think the fact, when you're on the right mood, at the right time, I give them a 7 because they entertain. I loved them. It reminded me how good they are, the reason why so many people really like them, and I agree. They're really good fun. So yeah, crazily enough, terrible film. 7 out of 10. It floats my boat. Thank you very much. Good night. The first one, gorier, more exploitative. Okay, if I had to mark them, 7 for that. I'd probably give the first one 5 or 6 because it's not quite as bad. You know what I mean? So yeah, there you go. Can't even remember what I said, but that's what I mark it. You next.
Okay. I like the first one a lot better. I think the problem is the second one, it gets too jokey. No, it knowingly is jokey, I think.
I don't think they were going for that as much as you think they were, you know. And I think that's what probably makes it better. I don't think they were.
Well, when a woman goes gulp...
Yeah, I know.
And
even
then goes, oh no, that's when I know,
I don't
okay,
even
they're
know.
not taking this seriously. But then he changed his mind, which it's like saying, oh, this isn't very good, so I'm going to take the piss out of it. And that's when I went, But look, I haven't scored it, but I have scored them individually. But I thought the first one was in the uncut version, so I'd read about it. On the uncut version, I thought was quite a lot grimmer and quite good in a way. There's bits of it that drag, and there's bits of it that, I mean, Christmas Evil so far is still my favourite, Christmas horror film. Well, we haven't talked about Black Christmas, have we? So let's not get into that.
In terms of Christmas films in general.
In terms of ones we've watched for this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, Black Christmas is
Why don't you say that?
It's the classic,
no,
isn't it?
So we haven't reviewed it yet.
Well, I reserve my judgment.
Yeah, exactly. So number 1, Silent Night, Deadly Night, the first one, I gave 6 because I thought, actually, I'm quite surprised. I quite enjoyed it. And the ending I thought was really good, actually. I thought where it goes, naughty, when it scrolls up on that young kid's face after the axe, I thought, oh, well done. That's quite...
Well done,
That's quite chilling-ish. It was just a normal sort of horror film. Now, the second one. Okay, a good third of it is the first one. But I didn't tear it apart because of that. I don't think it's a bad film because of that. Because it absolutely kicks off towards the end. And you're right. It's good because it's bad. And even though I think there's some knowing stuff, I do think the actor didn't know he was meant to be mugging it. I just think he was.
I couldn't bring myself to give Eric Freeman any less than a 7 because I love him.
So he gets a 7. I get the film 4.5 though. It gets better, like I say, and at the very end of it, it becomes like a proper tense. Oh, this is quite a good horror film, and it made me laugh when their nun's head falls off in the wheelchair, and I went, oh, that's surprising.
So the film you've given 8 then, from what you've said. I mean, Eric Freeman is
Silent
Night, Deadly Night 2, isn't he? So you can't distinguish one from the other. But so 4.5. Wow.
Yeah, 6 and 4.5. Said
that's perfect. I like it. I think what somebody needs to do in the media world, I don't necessarily want to see the more exploitative bits, but I kind of do want to see Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 with the flashbacks uncut. Then I don't have to watch the first one, and then that's me happy.
But I like the first one better though.
Yeah, that's interesting. Not very interesting. Anyway, so that is our Christmas episode of Silent Night, Deadly Night. How good was that?
Merry Christmas, every one of us. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, that's okay as well.
Have a safe and prosperous Christmas and New Year. And check out our other episode that's coming soon, which is Frightmare, which is amazing.
It's a British horror film, and if you've never heard of it, we'll tell you all about it.
Everybody needs a bit of Pete Walker in their life. So check out our next episode as well. So thanks for listening. Have a great Christmas.